Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from HolsingersFlyShop.com. Bringing another tie-in video today. Today it's a really cool crayfish pattern. I wish I could tell you who tied it originally. I tried to find it. I saw it on the internet on Facebook or Instagram. I can't remember where. And sit down and tried to tie it, but I didn't save the post. And so sorry whoever tied this. I wanted to give you credit, but I can't remember who tied it. So if you remember seeing it out there and knew who originally came up with the pattern, drop it in the comments. I'll be glad to share that. Really cool, simple pattern to tie. It's a couple materials to it, and you can make a great looking crayfish pattern. So I tie it in two different sizes mainly. I tie it in 4s and 8s, and the 8 gives me a nice small trout sized pattern, and the 4 is more of like a mid-sized crayfish, great for smallmouth fishing. Of course, you can definitely tie this bigger if you want to target bigger fish, bigger smallmouth and stuff like that in the river. So like I said here, when I originally saw the pattern, I didn't have all the materials here at my studio where I tie. I just used what I had. I substituted some dubbing. You know, I put a different color flashback on the back of it to try to match the crayfish in my area. Obviously the pinchers on here, maybe you want them darker on yours. Maybe you want to use a brown instead of this gold variant like I use here. Mess around, experiment, see what you like. That's what fly tying's all about, finding what you like and having fun doing it. So anyways guys, here you're going to see the fly in the vise and then the material list to tie it. Alright guys, here you see this really cool looking crayfish pattern in the vise, and it's not really that hard to tie, so let's get into tying it. For a hook, I'm using a Firehole. This is a 570 size 4. You can definitely tie it smaller. This isn't too big. I'd say it's like a medium-sized crayfish in my area. For a bead, I'm using a 3.8 millimeter tungsten slotted bead from Nature Spirit. This one is metallic brown in color. For lead, I got about 20 wraps of 0.015 lead on there just to give it a little extra weight. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on some fluorescent orange 140 Denier UTC thread. Just going to cover that lead up a little bit just to lock it in place more or less. Then we'll bring our thread back to the bend of the hook, and I even just barely go just around the bend just a little bit. And I'm going to put a little ball of dubbing here to splay out my antennas. For dubbing, I'm using red Squirrel Nymph Thorax. You can use whatever you want here. Some brown color preferably. Something brown and spiky. So I'm just going to make a small ball here. This is going to, like I said, this is going to splay out my antenna and my pinchers on this. So for the antenna, I'm just using the Sili legs, perfectly barred Sili legs in orange. Just taking one piece, tying it on to one side. Getting it right on the side, and then wrap it back towards that ball. And then I'll pull the other side over and wrap it down the other side and just wrap it right back to that ball there, one on each side. And there you can see how it splays it apart. So next thing I'm going to use is some hairline black barred rabbit strips. This is gold variant is the color. You can see there's some black lines in it, and I'm going to cut off, this is about a 1/2 inch long piece, about the length of your hook shank is where I'm at, a little bit smaller. And I'm going to tie that in back here to make the pinchers on this fly. So I'm just going to pinch it down on the side of the hook, make sure I get all those hair fibers going backwards so I don't trap them back. And I'm just going to wrap that towards that ball again. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I want to make sure that all the fibers are facing the right way on this, and they all go backwards. And then, like I said, just tie one in on the other side and wrap it right back there to that ball of dubbing. So there you can see these will splay out nice. Got your antennas in the middle, so we got a nice set of pinchers on that. Now what I'm going to do, and what's easy here, I'm going to cover this up just a little bit better. What's easy for me, having a rotary vise, I can just flip it upside down like that. If not, if you don't have a rotary vise, just clamp it in upside down, because it's easier to work from the bottom side now. Now what I'm going to use is, this is a product, this Flashback Peacock, and I cut it off into about 1/8 of an inch wide strip, a little bit bigger, 3/16 maybe. And I'm going to tie that down inside this bend of the hook here. So this is going to make the back of my fly. So we're going to get that tied in, and then I'm going to wrap that back to the pinchers. Okay, once I get that wrapped in, then I'm going to build the back end of the head end of the body here. To do that, I'm going to go back to that brown dubbing I had, and like I said, use any brown dubbing you have. Anything that's spiky, bushy, I prefer something bushy with like squirrel in it or something. So that red Squirrel Nymph Thorax works great here. If you watched last week's video where I blend dubbing, I show you a recipe that I use to make my own version of it. And so now I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to split my thread, and we're going to do a split thread dubbing loop here. So I'm just going to split my thread open, as you see there. Take some dubbing, spread it out, and I'm going to pop it in between the thread. And then I'll pull tight on that thread so it clamps down on it. When I get it tight, then I'm just going to spin my bobbin. And get a nice tight dubbing loop on here. Then we're going to go, we're just going to wrap this in, making it nice and bushy like you see. And I'm going to go about 1/3 of the way back. That's going to make the head of the crayfish. So then once I get that on there, I'm just going to pull this foil back over, and I'm going to tie it down. Get about 3 or 4 wraps there, and I'm going to pull it backwards and wrap once or twice over it that way. Now, I'll take my brush here, and I'll brush this out, make it real buggy looking, make it look like those become legs, so it's real wide and leggy. Next thing we're going to put on is some ice chenille, and this is medium-sized root beer, and I'm just going to tie this down. And then I'm going to leave my thread back here by that foil. I'm going to wrap this chenille forward. Nice side-by-side wraps here. Not really building up, but just getting nice coverage. And then once I get up to that bead, I'm going to take my hackle pliers. I'm going to clamp my hackle pliers down on that chenille so it stays straight down. And I can hold it in place there. Pull this foil back over. And I'm going to make ribs on this foil. So just one wrap over it and wrap it backwards towards that bead. And you'll see here in a second, it gives you a nice ribbed effect. And once I get back to the bead, I'll make 2 or 3 wraps to tie everything off. Cut that foil and the chenille off, and then I can whip finish the tail here, and we're all done. You could use brown thread here, it would be no problem. I just used orange just to set it off a little bit. And there you can see the ribbing down the back. Like I said, brush these legs out a little bit, get it nice and bushy. Really cool looking fly, not that easy, not that hard to tie. And I'm just going to trim off those antennae to make them even. And that's all that's to that fly. Alright, hope you like that pattern. Nice, simple, easy pattern to tie. I enjoy tying these. They're fun. They look great when you're done. And it's not real challenging. Doesn't take a lot of time to tie it. So it's a fun pattern for me to tie. And I love smallmouth fishing on the fly rod. You can't beat the pull of a smallmouth on my lightweight fly rods. So give it a try, guys. I'm sure you're going to like tying this and fishing it. If you need any of the materials to tie it, like always, please head over to our website at holsingersflyshop.com. We'll be more than happy to help you out with any of the materials you need there. And if you would, please give me the thumbs up and drop a comment if you like. And, you know, I try to get back to them as quickly as I can. Might be a day or two, but I try to respond to everyone. So thanks for watching, guys. Until I bring you another fly tying video next week, I'm Sean Holsinger.